Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Phil Carew Show 2.0. I have a very special guest all the way over from Cebu City. I have Grandmaster John Mack. Welcome to the Phil Carew Show.
It's an honor to be a part of your show, and good morning to all viewers.
Now, on this journey that you've been in, you've gone through quite a lot in regards to, I'd just like to congratulate you as well, of ill health, and, you're getting some great news as well on the more of a consistent road to recovery. I congratulate you just to let everybody know. It's been great. Watching your progress as well, John Mack. Grandmaster John Mack, and also your contribution to the martial arts world and the Philippine martial arts.
Thank you for congratulating me. Yes, the journey is a little bit rough, and I'm happy that yesterday I was declared cancer free, but still needs to be monitored for 3 years to 5 years. So I need to always have do some checkup for my blood test and some CT scans. And yes, the Filipino martial arts is gives me a lot of energy to have something to look forward. After the chemo, I always go up from bed and went outside, do a little bit of a stick solo training. So it's give a lot of inspiration on my side, and always looking forward every day. It gives a lot of energy uh, to help uh, my mind, my body be positive uh, in spite of difficulties I encountered.
In regards to the martial arts, have you noticed a lot of changes that have been made? That you've noticed that the contribution of Philippine martial arts as well as a whole, because over the years there's so many sort of things that have happened in regards to even tradition as well. Because in the old school, historically it wasn't as what it is now. It used to be, just to sort of let the audience know and the listeners and the viewers, um there was quite a lot of encounters, wasn't it, in the past, that no doubt probably heard about, and the way how um Philippine martial arts were, in historically, in regards how people used to be, whereas now we've become a lot more renowned for, on the films, like Born Identity and other films, and even like Mission Impossible. It's strange how some people won't even realize how much martial arts, Philippine martial arts, has affected not just the film industry, but also um, as a whole. In the world of martial arts. What have you noticed? A lot of changes. It's evolved quite a lot, hasn't it? Since the 50s, 60s, even up to like the 70s, up to now.
Uh, yes, I observe a lot of changes, evolution. As a matter of fact, my mentor, the late Supreme Grand Master Carew, he studied a lot of martial arts. He studied judo, aikido, jiu-jitsu, and he used to box as well. He studied karate, kung fu, and all of those, what he can use to enhance the techniques of his eskrima, he used those, he adapt all those techniques. So that's the evolution. So what he's trying to look for is the effectiveness of the each techniques. So I could see now in the Filipino martial arts, there's a big difference way before in the 40s, 50s. He created the late Supreme Grandmaster Carew discovered the what he called Iskrido. So Iskrido, that is involve the Aikido, Judo, Jiu-Jitsu techniques in Eskrima.
Oh yeah, no, it's amazing because I've got so much deeper in that, even of the roots of there, because a lot of the time, not many people realize that how many changes and additional things have added to it, because obviously there's nothing wrong with that. It's in having grassroots traditional martial arts, but it's nice to have additional things that you find ways, it's like loopholes, isn't it? You find different, like Bruce Lee did. He's added to what he's learned, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because obviously in regards to martial arts itself, it's not one dimensional, where you have one style. It's nice to have a variety of things where you can actually share information, where everyone's been sharing, everything up to now, and there's been a lot of things as well where I think even in the martial arts community, even the Philippine martial arts community, it's expanded and exploded in such a way. I think sometimes it's been a shame that sometimes it's forgotten in some other areas, but I think it's become more recognized now, when it's not just on the films, but even word of mouth. Other people have spoken about, oh, yeah, I wasn't sure about that, because I spoke to someone the other day and they didn't realize what it was they were doing, because there was other masters of different disciplines and other of the arts have introduced um Eskrima, Arnis, as what they would call in America Kali, and these arts um can easily be integrated from different styles, and they're applying Philippine martial arts now in different styles, just to sort of get to know what it's like to use, open hand, and the sticks, the rattan sticks, and even sort of the knife techniques as well. And I think even more military based and government based as well have been able to sort of start in implementing them as well, in and even in their security as well. Have started using more of these methods as well, and it's quite surprising how much that some people don't realize they're actually involving the Philippine martial arts as well now, which is quite nice to hear.
Yes, the common base in the Filipino martial arts, the we have a saying that the only constant in Eskrima is change for the better. So you have to change everything. You have to change according to your taste. If there's a technique doesn't work, you have to change it, and change it for make it more effective, more how do you call this? We have like minimum movements, if possible, then can be result into a maximum efficiency of the techniques. So a lot of changes you need in order to do that. You have to do a lot of research study, and some of the techniques that can help is from other martial arts. So like in Eskrima, if you notice, sometimes there's a lot of Aikido techniques happening in Eskrima, and the only thing is it's translated into weapons. So sometimes you cannot recognize, but once you feel it, the techniques, once you feel the pain, and you see the technique itself, then you can say, oh, that is Aikido techniques. Yes, but because it's just only translated into weapons, converted into Screamer.
What would you say, and then in part of your journey, was a challenge for you in the beginning when you first started? Because I know it's not all, a lot of people tend to not realize that, for the beginning of your journey, a lot of the time, people say, oh, that looks interesting. Where there are times when it can be quite challenging because of the kind of exercises and the routines and the techniques, you know, you have to apply, that it takes a lot of practice, you know, where it's not just weapon based. There's a lot of open hand as well that goes hand in hand, and a lot. And if they haven't tried Philippine martial arts before, and I must say from my own personal experience, I've enjoyed it, and I still love it to this day. When I first picked up my rattan stick, and the amazing sort of simple, intricate movements that, you know, in defense wise as well, and you know, and the flow and everything is very effective. You know, I've noticed it's so effective, very quick, used for close quarters. Now, a lot of the time, you know, you get some of these martial arts where they're what they work at as a distance. Now, with more close quarters as well as most people, if they've actually seen any footage or even done their research in the Philippine martial arts, military sort of combat based, and also in terms of sort of security and self defense as well. Now, with the martial arts, with the Philippine martial arts with open hand, they have very similar sort of techniques. I've mentioned this before in my previous episodes with some other masters and Philippine martial arts practitioners, is that when you have weapon based, they have very similar movements as you would have, which people may notice when they actually participate in the lessons, is that the actual intricate movements that you have, you know, your drills as well, and in the seminars, are very similar to what you would have if you would have a weapon in your hand as well, when you have open hand as well.
Uh, in uh, in my experience, it's quite difficult. For my first 5 years in studying the Carew style, uh, we don't have much number of hours for like separate hours for beginners, advanced. It's all in one in one session. That is, we have advanced, we have beginners, and you don't know who is the masters. You don't know who is the advanced because they wear the same shirt, no belts, nothing. Just sometimes they're wearing a normal shirt and pants. Some they wear, of course, uniforms, but no belts. Then, so in my experience, it's quite difficult because a short basic, we taught me some basic like 12 angles of attacks, footworks. Then after that, uh, straight to sparring. So as a beginner, I having hard time to understand what's going on. Normally, I going home with a teary eyes because I am the receiving end. I never know that my spar mate is he's expert. He's already a master, and that's how it is. A little bit basic sparring. So for the first 5 years, sorry, our neighbor's dogs barking. So
Maybe they're
for
doing a
the
bit of sparring in the backyard. Grandmaster John Mac. They're doing their own their own their own sparring between them. Maybe.
for the first 5 years, I know how to spar. I know how to play, but
Yes.
I don't have any how do you call that? It's not constructive. It's not. If you ask me to teach, I don't know how to teach. If you ask me to disarm you, I can disarm you straight ahead. But if you ask me what is disarming number one, number two, no, I cannot do that. But I can disarm you through sparring. That's the how it is. Then it's like seeds that being thrown to the soil. Uh,
Goodness.
e-
Wow.
everyone has different characteristic, different attitudes, way of sparring. Even we are in the same style, even we are in the same masters, same teachers, but our way of sparring and strategies is different for each of the students. So what happened then? Because I always put some vacant slots for my training for my scrima. I always make an open time for this. So I have more time when they call me than to teach someone. So from there I began to really study deeper and dig all the
Of course.
techniques and all the combinations, striking combinations, disarming techniques, takedowns, locks. So I have to dig it and I have to really study because I'm now part of the instructor. And the yes, that's my experience. And after 6 years, 7 years, the late Supreme Grandmaster, he always says, change your style. But in the beginning, I could not understand because he never teach you like spoon feeding. No, he just call you, then John, let's spar. Then from my experience, every time we spar, he always told me, oh, this is a new technique. Then when I look the techniques, it's for me it's the same. Nothing new, nothing changes. It's the same. But for him, oh, there's a new in that kind of techniques. So
Mm.
for 6 months, a day before he left to US for a seminar, he showed me, he called me and showed me all the new techniques he discovered. So he told me, John, this is all the new techniques. So amazingly, I could not track his right hand. The energy changes, everything changes. So the flow, the way he moves, everything just totally changed. Was totally changed. So from that on, I believe that you can change your style. So
That's great.
after 8 years, I start to change my style. So again, study more, sparring, a lot of sparring because it needs to be effective. It needs to be done uh, in under pressure with as your spar mate will try to resist, will try not to escape from your locks, your takedowns, and yes, that's my experience in the Filipino martial arts. And also, with regards to empty hands, we started with weapons first. Because if you start with the empty hands first, it's difficult to understand the weapons. But if you start with the weapons, then after that, after you have the experience about weapons, then you learn the bare hands, the empty hands. Then it's easy to apply the techniques. It's easy to learn.
I like that because when I first, it's usually the other way around in most arts, and I found it, very different in the art of Philippine martial arts. And it. I have no regrets starting at a different, at a level, the age that I am now, because I know over the years, as a fellow Filipino, Cebuano origin, I get a chance to sort of see. I've known that I think even the first sign of, it was a sign for me later on, and I thought, I know there's that sign. That's a Philippine martial arts sign, and I kept saying to my mother and everyone else, back home, I said, look, that's an eskrima. There's a Grand Master. There was one. It was just literally down the road. From where I used to grow up. I'm actually from Pardo.
Carlo, There's
Pardo, yeah,
a lot of
literally
yeah.
outside the door there is an Eskrima martial arts place, literally across the road from where I live, and I thought, oh my goodness, how lucky am I? And I thought I need to go there, and I kept telling my mum, I'm going to go and visit. I need to go and visit. I need to go there. And every time I went past, I was like, Mum, I need to. I was like, there's something. It's like a calling. And then later on, I started seeing things here in the UK because there was another guy. I think it was just before the Grand Master Canate before passed away. You know, one of the Grand Masters was an honor. To even visit um, Hybrid Dossi Perez in London. And when I went over there, I thought, wow. And as a Filipino, and a fellow Cebuano, he also, his family and himself were also in the same area. So how many people across the globe, even yourself as a fellow Cebuano and someone in London, and I'm half an hour away or even almost an hour away from where we are in the Philippines. Now, how many people do you meet every day where you have the same passion, the same art form in all around the world, and then you come across a different country and you meet each other? How much of a surprise and a gift is that? And I said this to some friends. I said, you can't get that anywhere else. When you meet someone and they're from your home city and they do the same art and they're and you're in a different country, and then you think, you know what, I'm going to go there. So I went to go and visit, and I felt so honored even to be in the Philippine martial arts establishment because I've never been. And the first time I ever went, this was from Mr. Alexander. He's done very well with it as well. With the Philippine martial arts, and he's doing well. He's involving it in acting as well now. And this is what I meant as well before, into put you making use of your skills, into the acting. Have you ever considered, even being part of a team in the Philippines, to contribute, as well as in the martial arts world, but even to choreograph, because of your level of experience?
Yes, we have here we call Hinilaud. So Hinilaud is Filipino epic story. So in the Hinilaud, there's a fighting scene. So they asked me to do some choreographs for the fight scene for the Hinilaud. And after that, instead of teaching them how to fight, they asked me to be involved on one of the
Yes.
one of the character or the cast there in the and that epic story in Nilaud. Yes,
That's
guys.
great. It must be great to
Yeah.
be even being invited for that, because usually it's the other way around, making use of your skills, but even to participate and even be involved in it, must be a great honor, and a great experience for you.
Yes, and during the training, we use the like the spears. The spears is made of metal or pipes, GI pipe. Then all the bolos made of carbon steel. So during the rehearsal, one of the actor got hit to the head, and the head just bleeding. You
Oh, wow.
see the blood is just pouring to his face. But before the final show, they hired some experts from Manila, and
Oh, this is what they have to be careful, you see, isn't it? Grandmaster Jordan, some of these
the
people where.
the experts from Manila, some good actors there advise not to use metal weapons. You have to use bamboo.
Yes, and the thing is, with this choreography thing, it's good that you've sort of participated in it, because if they're not aware of this and even been doing stunts as well, in with that, it's not always easy the job, because a lot of the time you get, okay, the excitement in it, but there's also a danger of injury, isn't it? It can be easily done, with
Yeah,
um like you mentioned, a head injury, can be anything, grazing, and then I know, the all-time greats, as I mentioned before. You've got people that have been part of the martial arts sort of industry as well as the film, very well known, Jackie Chan. And I think the last thing you want is to have a real life thing to happen, because I think it's good to have someone like yourself on the set, because to be even participating as part of filming, even as an advisor, because I think most people don't realize, you need to have that kind of um guide, give them that initial guidance and advisory, not to what to apply, what to give, and what to do. It's so easily done and easily said. If you've not done it before, and other people I said, oh yeah, you should do this, you should use this, you should do that. I said, well,
yeah,
you're
correct.
aware that even with training, Grandmaster John, the actual weaponry to use, just even to practice, it's one of those things, because probably over the years, you have you ever sustained any injuries? Because it's not one of those things where people realize that it's one of those things where when it comes close, very close to bit real life as well, because most of the time, even with the sticks in competing, have you, other than teaching and being a student, have you ever competed? And when was the last time you ever you competed?
Yeah, I've done a lot of competitions. I forgot the last time I competed. Uh, but in the competitions, there's a lot of you have I have a different perspective in competitions. Like in the competitions, we are wearing armors, headgears like that. But my point of view is I need to test my skills. I need to test my ability. Even we are in the we have armors, we have helmets. In my mind, because my opponent is also practicing, he's also very sharp, very high skill level. In my mind, I can really disarm my opponent. That's always a question in my mind. So every competitions, I apply disarming techniques. Then and it works. And it works. I most of my opponents I disarm them. Then like even we have helmets, we admit that he can hit me many times and I can hit him also many times. My job is to minimize the number of hits I receive. That is my job. Can I control his weapons hands? Can I block him? Can I stop him? So that is my always my in my mind during competitions. Not just go there and bang each other. No, I have different way. Can I block his strike? Can I defend his powerful strike? Can I come in close and defend all his strikes? That is all my questions in my mind. So every time I go compete, uh, that is my task. Minimize the number of strikes from my opponent, disarm my opponent. Can I deliver my combinations in a proper way? He can block or he cannot block my strikes. That's all my questions in my mind. That's why if every time I enter the competitions, I always try to disarm my opponent. Can I really disarm him? Just techniques. Use the techniques. If can really disarm your opponent because he's very sharp. He's very skillful. He's trained as well. He just don't go there just to compete without training. No, he prepare himself.
Yeah, it must be. It's one of those things, but people don't realize, what goes through your mind. The all the training that you've done to build up towards the actual event itself, the tournament and the competition, because there's a lot of things that us as the audience and then the listeners and even the um, people that actually watch, they don't realize, all of these different things that, most martial artists out there and anyone of any form of martial arts, even boxing is a form of martial arts, whether it's boxing, any other form of martial arts that you got the preparation. There's a lot to be said of what goes on behind the scenes, all the training that you've done in that short period of time. Because what is it like in the actual tournaments? In the competition, what is the time scale or the time given for you? Because I know there's some that in some forms of martial arts, even on the mixed martial arts, being in the octagon, they have 3 to 5 minutes. What is it like in terms of the Philippine martial arts to those, if they're new into it and they've actually, or even just started, uh, or wanting to go into Philippine martial arts competitively? What would you say in regards to that? What's the timing in that? Is it 3 minutes, 5 minutes? How long is it? For each sort of competition, because they can last for a few minutes, can't they? Depending on what kind of martial arts you do. But in Philippine martial arts, how long would you say that would be?
In the Eskrima, we have 1 minute per round, 3 rounds only. And we have, I think, 15 or 30 seconds break in between. So 1 minute uh, per round, 3 rounds. And
Goodness.
imagine in Eskrima, you have to achieve 4 to 6 strikes per second. That is Eskrima is all about. You have to achieve at least 4 to 6 strikes per second. So if you can maintain your speed, your skills in if you can strike 4 seconds within 60 seconds, that is 440 strikes. So imagine in my point of view, I always I because I practice a lot of a traditional way of training, like just no protections, nothing, so no helmet. So we call freestyle flow drills. So freestyle flow drills. So like controlled sparring as we call.
Yes.
Then if what is your instinct, natural movements in the controlled sparring? It should be uh, applied during the tournament, because if you cannot apply that, then in the real situations, in the real attack or real fight, you cannot apply your techniques, because you have to bring it to your muscle memory, that you can apply what you have learned from the dojo to the competitions and to the outside. So that is really important. So in the
Yeah.
competitions, we
Yeah.
have
Of course.
1 minute around and 3 rounds only.
Goodness. Yeah. With the Philippine martial arts sort of side, have you considered being in a book, or been? I know I've got a feeling that you might, no doubt, in some magazines and books, been involved with your not just contribution to martial arts, but have you considered writing your own book yourself about your own experiences in the screamer?
Yes, that's my plan. And at the moment, I am developing the double stick fighting way of fighting, double stick. Uh, my inspiration is from the single stick fighting. It's really amazing for the close range eskrima, that if you're right-handed, your right-handed is your weapon's hand, and your left hand is your defending hand. It's really amazing that the right hand can travel by himself without thinking. The right hand has becoming his own mind, and also the left hand. So the left hand also developing his own mind in order to check and grab or control the opponent's weapon. And the coordination of these two hands are really great. Well, that is already without thinking, so it just happened. and that is my inspiration. I want to teach my left hand the same way in the double stick. So I am developing the double stick fighting way of fighting based on the same procedures method from the single stick fighting.
Yeah. Oh, just to make sure I haven't forgotten, that's why I left it on there. Enrico Beltrotti has said hello and big hugs to Grandmaster John. Enrico.
Hi, hello Enrico.
Oh, yeah. No, it's one of those things, in the martial arts world, it's always easy for people now where they've seen a lot of in the films. They've put Philippine martial arts back on the map by one of the Bourne films as well. That was involved several years ago with Jeremy Renner when he was actually in the Bourne Legacy, and Manila was actually put on the spot. Now it'd be nice to see also not just Manila but also other parts of the Philippines. Now, just to put this out there, I am considering, because I've become, well, should I say, I've become more intrigued in filmmaking. So watch this space, folks. You never know. Grandmaster John Mack might actually be in part, in parts of those filmmaking, because I've considered actually doing some filming myself in the Philippines. So I think because of the roots of where we're from, Cebu and Manila, and even different parts of the Philippines and other areas that are participating in the Philippine martial arts world. Oh, good morning, Wayne. Put on Guru Wayne Hunt.
Good morning, Wayne.
Hey. Yeah, no, I've considered even sort of involving more other practitioners because I think it deserves more recognition than what it's been given. And you've heard it here first. Grandmaster John Mack, and even other those in the martial arts world that be participating in it. I have considered of not just film, but other areas and projects involving martial arts. So it's one of my biggest loves and passion, as well as the roots of where Cebu is from. The Philippine martial arts, the roots from there, as well as Manila. Cebu as well. Cebu and Manila and other islands are second to none. I definitely have a big passion for it, and I'll never forget. My roots, and it'll be about time when I actually do come and visit. The actual different martial artists and the Grand Masters, because it's very different, isn't it? Like we are now, in speaking. It's kind of second best to what where we're speaking to each other now on the interview face to face. But in person, it makes it a bit more personal. In a sense of where it's actually real. I know it's real as in where we are on the camera, but it's not the same when you're in the physical state. In the same place. It's one of those things that I think most of the things that most of us love to encounter when you meet the person that you've been communicating with and you haven't seen each other in person. I think most even your students have probably felt the same way. Even before they've actually met you in person. You've been communicating over the years. And exchanging information about martial arts as well. And when they actually get to meet you, it's probably a great, overwhelming experience for them to say, "Well, look, I've actually met Grandmaster John Mack himself in person now." Rather than just speaking to each other on the phone or even like this. And is there anything there that you would say that in the world of martial arts, apart from that, is there any hobbies that you have, outside the martial arts, the outside the martial arts, apart from the Philippine martial arts and other martial arts that you've tried? Is there any hobbies that you've got that you're interested in?
Uh, in myself, I just do Filipino martial arts. And because I like to play also like something else. Uh, but in my mind, in the system of Carew is we have takedowns or throwing techniques involved. So that's what we call escrido. And I got hooked on that part because like you need the applications. You have to spar with someone, and your spar mate will not give it to you easy. So that's what I'm always trying to figure out. How can I really apply some drawing techniques? So I feel guilty when I do other things if I cannot master and perfect my Skrido.
That's fair enough.
So
I think sometimes you need that, don't you? You need to have that initial sort of um, what's the best way of putting it? In you need to have that sense of clarity because of the times. I'm very similar. When before I was doing this, with interviewing, I've had so many different things along the way. Experiences where technical issues, things that I can't even, like the sound and audible. Even having my face put on. On last year, several months ago, I had an interview where I couldn't even put my face. Nobody could see me. And we were talking as if I was like a mystery person. So we were talking to each other like you and I are. And that could be like a new thing, couldn't it? It's supposed to be a video podcast where it became just a podcast, but only one person seeing the other. So maybe I might have accidentally caused a mystery host. Where everyone sees the guest, but you can't see the host. I stumbled on something new. Because there's some singing solo artists, isn't there, out there where I think Sia, where you can't really see what she really looks like, because most people in the public, all you see is a wig and the hair. Well, that might be a real hair or a wig, and you can't see their face. So you got great artists, singing, a great singer. You can hear them, but you can't really see what their identity is, and someone said to me, you've stumbled on something there. When you interview someone, all you see is the guest. So everyone's wondering what the mystery. You can imagine if I went wrong there, Grandmaster John. You spoke to me, but you didn't know what I actually looked like.
yeah,
Be a mystery until you actually meet me in person. You say, "Ah, that's what he actually looks like."
yeah. Same story I have. There was I play Screama guy in Spain. Then I managed to control his stick by only my finger. One tip, the tip of his stick, only one finger. I managed to control his stick. He cannot let go. He cannot pull out his stick. And he noticed that after 15 seconds, 20 seconds, that his stick being controlled with only one finger. I touched on this tip of stick with my finger. He cannot let go. Then after that, he keep on laughing. We keep on laughing, like how does it happen? I told him when I going to tell you a story about my grandmaster that he can do this. He can do amazing or like a magic things. You won't believe me because you don't experience it. And
Right.
if you tell that story to your students that your stick being controlled only by one finger, they think you are crazy. They won't believe you until such
Wow,
time until such time that they will experience it by themselves.
that's impressive. Actually, mind you, if I was your student, or if I was even to be someone that was to experience that, my own personal experience, I'd think if I told somebody that, they'd probably think I was crazy. Because usually I think when you have that level, you're at that high level of experience, and you're teaching somebody, or even as a newcomer, to the world of Philippine martial arts. I think most people, it's not as easy as it appears. When you're doing something, and even with my own personal experience, all the intricate tiny movements, when you're getting that right. But I'm actually the opposite. Apparently I was told that, no doubt other people, when they go back to the replay of this story, is that I looked like as if I was in Harry Potter waving a wand. And it needed to be a bit more rigid. Now I remember the movement that I was having, because there's like three types of movements that you have, and then it leads into a combination of different areas. Now, even the strikes, as you would have very similar, as they would call Sinawali, where you have, when you're doing all the drills, and even with a free hand as well. When I was doing it with a free hand, empty hand, with no weapon, it was really odd, because they said to me, I would actually sort of name drop now. Now it was my coach and my instructor at the time, Leon Halsey. This was in Chelmsford. Now, when I encountered doing this, because obviously you've got different names and different styles. Now, when I was trying this with Arnis, it was really funny, because when I went to strike, I was a lot more rigid, and I had a stronger sort of strike without. But when I went back to the application with the stick, I looked like I was waving a wand. So I needed to be a bit more rigid. And it was funny because, most people, they're a lot better with a weapon in their hand, whereas I was the opposite. Maybe it's because I think it depends. Everyone's different, isn't it? In hand. Not everyone's going to be the same when they've got a weapon, practicing with a weapon in their hand. Now, when you're doing that, when your hands are empty, I think it might be a psychological thing. What would you say your insight in that? Do you think it's a psychological thing because you've got something in your hand and you're thinking of where to strike, whereas the same movement, when you're doing the base of your hand of your hand is going to be the same, but obviously the butt of the stick is going to be like there.
Yeah.
So it'll be like that. And I think some of the time, people, if you've never encountered Philippine martial arts, if you're holding it, I know this isn't a stick, but let's just like my son's and my drumstick. I'm just giving you an example. If people are not sure of it, you have to leave a space there, don't you? You have to leave a space, don't you, Grandmaster John? There. Whereas I think some people, if you're ever the first time when they encounter something, they'll be holding it like that with no butt.
Yes. No, but
And
yes.
that's always the way, isn't it? I was advised to, even when you practice, that you always have that level of space between the butt of the stick as well as your hand. Now, even using that with a base, and doing that, it was great, because I remember, as my technique is doing, it's like a figure of eight and the movement. But then I was told that by the end of it, they said to me, don't wave it around like as if it's a wand, because you're not in Harry Potter. So I thought it was quite funny. I was doing that, and I went, no. They said, hold on. I said, if you don't hold it hard, if you don't hold it enough, you'll be like this, as if I'm twirling, you know. So yeah, I was told, my own personal experience was pretty funny, actually, my first lesson. So in regards to drills, how often do you train a week, Grandmaster John?
Uh, Normally I I coach, I teaching. I teach one on one. So I teach every day. But before I train 3 times a week. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 2 hours every session. And for me, that is for going to headquarters and learn from my instructors. But I do separate hours for myself. So I do early morning. I woke up 4 o'clock in the morning. I do uh, solo training. I review all the lessons from what I have learned from my instructors. So every
Goodness.
time I come down to the headquarters, they got surprised why I can do this, why I can do this because I practice also a lot in the morning. So
Wow.
I am becoming the favorite target. I'm becoming the receiving end. So during sparring, they always pick me up and just he call
Oh,
it
bless you.
just
Wow.
bulata me to just beat me up.
Oh my
But
goodness.
I learned from those, different instructors, different of way of movements, different way of fighting. I learned a lot from them, and also from my mentor, late Supreme Grand Master Carew. I whisper every 3 times a week as well. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday morning, starting 10 o'clock in the morning. And yes, that is our regular schedule until he could not make it because
Goodness.
he's getting old and sickly.
In with the sort of with Supreme Grandmaster Kanate, what was the experience like? Just even to be, in his presence. Just even putting aside martial arts. In personally, what was he like a man to be in his presence and even do the training? Because it must have been a great honor being in his presence. On his last sort of days and years, being in his company with Supreme Grandmaster Kanate.
He's a very nice person, very kind, very humble, and when he talks about jokes only. He tells a lot of jokes, so that's a that's a his way of talking with some people. So always telling jokes. But when you mentioned about fighting, you his mood mood changed into a warrior. He will talk about his past, about his challenges, and you see different person when we talk about fighting, and also his energy level is really high. You know, even his at the age of 90 years old, his aura or like his energy is overflowing from his body. It's really you don't see him like very slow or very old. No, he's just keep on smiling, laughing when the energy is just amazing. And during sparring, he can just do magic. Just everything is just magic. Yeah, that's very powerful. He managed to transfer his energy to the tip of the stick. Even the tip of the stick not swinging like really from just like one inch span, obviously, just like that. It's very powerful, very painful. So even only the tipping or tapping into your body, it's really painful. And for him, it's normal, it's natural, and his reactions is different from others. Like he has really a gifted way of countering the attack of others. His movement is different, unpredictable. You cannot see that from other masters or grandmasters, but his approach to his opponent is always totally different and very nice to look at because for him it's made him easy and make all his opponent like a beginner.
How would you say your own sort of personal experience of adding on sort of that knowledge? It must have felt great knowing to be one of the closest people in his presence, and to even tell you, he even thanked you himself personally, didn't he? He couldn't thank you enough of your contribution, and even with even the teachings that he's passed on, and even giving the knowledge that he's got, even while he was while he was still around, to be able to do that and give that to you. That must have felt great, being able to sort of carry on parts of that, and as much as you could, of his legacy, of what he's left now, with yourself as well.
Yes, I'm very thankful also that I met him and become one of his students because I really I found out that transferring skills in Eskrima is you cannot absorb it by just watching videos or by just doing drills, but it must be hands-on, must be from him because there are things that you cannot see and there are things that you just felt the techniques uh, and you cannot see that or you cannot find it from other instructors or just from the drills. You cannot find it. You have to feel it. You have to experience how he managed to apply the techniques, how he managed to apply some sit-ups combinations, and the energy level is just different. So you have to really, it must be hands-on. So I believe on that. The transferring skills, but just by absorbing, by just like giving drills, no, it's not enough. It must be hands-on. So you have to feel it from your teacher.
Sounds like the dog wants to do battle with you, Grandmaster John.
Yes.
They want to participate in the interview as well, which is fair enough. They have a lot to say, don't they?
So we have a lot of dogs in neighboring.
Oh, do you have any pets yourself? Actually, I was going to ask that next. Do you have
No, I
actually? Do
don't.
you have any pets?
No, I don't have. I don't have dogs. I don't have cats. Yeah. I do have chicken before fighting chicken.
Goodness, wow. Whew,
Yeah, because fighting
wow.
chicken is fighting rooster is the fight like with blades,
Yes.
and they are very smart. You know, like before I go to the competitions, I watch uh, fighting roosters
Goodness.
because that's makes me calm. I study their movements. In fighting roosters, there are close range fighters also. There's also long range fighter. So I studied their movements and I used them during the competition.
Do you
So that
have any
makes
collect? Do you have any collections at all in terms of like weaponry?
for collections. I don't have much. I have only knife. At the moment, I'm trying to uh, make a replica of each blades like pinote, bolos, or we call flamenco. Flamenco is the best knife to slaughter pigs because of the design, because of the shape of the blade that blades. And I'm trying to make a replica on that made of aluminum.
All right. Yeah. Wow. Goodness me. Wow. No, it's as much as it sounds, in as you would just sort of say in the Philippine martial arts, the history of it is not as all as clean cut what many people would believe. It used to, no doubt, in the past there was a lot of encounters. Would you say? I don't know if you even remember this, but even historically, um, even in the beginning of martial arts, it would be proven to be quite of a battle, wasn't it? Between between people, like different clans, over like things like land and things like that. You know, because there was I don't know if anyone sort of remembered that there was something in a film or even a documentary in regards to the screamadors. You know, and in the past, very very much so. You know, and it was even sort of one of those things where it's been documented in the past. It used to be quite brutal, you know, and even some sort of movement is we're known Philippine martial arts as more of a combat based, but now also now have become more self defense as well, because it's very close quarters and quick and effective, which is why a lot of people like to use it in film and choreography and also as form of defense. You know, what would you say would there'd be similar? Would you say there was some similarities, or people even try and mistaken it for being a different art? Because I know there's been a lot of other trainers and instructors around the world where they've noticed similar movements and techniques of Philippine martial arts used for certain characters on the film. Would you say that you'd be able to recognize something? So if there was a film to come on, you'd say, well, I know exactly what they're doing. You know, it'd be this particular sort of name. There'd be a name for each movement that they're doing, you know, in the drills or even particular sort of tiny movements. So there'd be different ones. You'd say, oh, I remember. They're doing that. And then someone would say, what's that? That looks like Krav Maga, or that looks like something else, you know, like the Israeli martial arts, or it looks like another form of kung fu, or something like that, or with the kick, you know, with the kickboxing, with the elbow and everything. But people don't realize that the Philippine martial arts, there's so many different parts of the Philippine martial arts. They're actually integrated and gone into other parts of martial arts that people don't realize, because you know, there's so many different touched bases of martial arts, using the elbow, using the knee, you know, and using the movement of where people think, oh, look at that, they look like they're doing they look like they're doing a bit of kung fu there, you know, or Krav Maga. But then what they don't realize is when you put those other things together, it's actually Philippine martial arts.
Yeah, you're right. With the Filipino martial arts, it covers a lot of aspects, and I can always tell if it's a Filipino martial arts or not. If I'm watching a movie or any martial arts movie, I could tell if that moves is a Filipino martial arts or not. And,
So it must be great to be able to see that. You know, it's because I remember the first time I watched a film I've seen in the Bourne films. I didn't even know it was a Philippine martial art until I actually had finished the DVD and realized the choreography was for a Filipino martial artist. So it goes to show we have gone a long way, Grandmaster John, haven't we? From all those years where people go, oh, look at that, it's a martial arts. Look, it's karate. Oh, it's kung fu. Oh, it's you know, Thai boxing, Muay Thai. You know, with the mixed in with some other stuff. No, it isn't. Do a bit of homework and research, and when they actually look behind, because you know, there's always very sort of very well detailed information from the actual choreographer. And I, you know, it'd be great to sort of hear more about the people like yourself, you know, the instructors like yourself, because you know, there's a lot that goes into it. Because, you know, like yourself, you know, if everybody's just tuned in or even after the replay, we were discussing this earlier with Grandmaster John, that he participated in sort of a program or even a filming, that he also had to advise other people what to use and sort of general guidance, because of how dangerous it is being part of a film where you're using certain materials, certain weaponry, and not using the right equipment. And Grandmaster John, you know, with his field experience now, and even myself, I'm starting to see things, you know, even though I'm not as experienced as everyone else, you know, I've started to see a lot of detail in certain things and similarities. You know, even before I've finished the film, I actually sort of I look at the movements, how they're doing it, how quick they are and effective. You know, and even with picking up different things. The one thing that fascinates me about overall with Philippine martial arts is you can use anything, a book, a pen, even, oh my goodness, a tiny little stick, anything that you can put your hands on. It's so practical, and people don't realize what you can do with the movement and the magic of it. It's just like being, my goodness, like you said, with Supreme Grand Master Kanate. You know, with when he actually touches the stick, or even with your open hand, it's like magic. Now, even watching Philippine martial arts, and this isn't to be biased to anyone out there, it is like magic when you witness people like yourself demonstration of any form of Philippine martial art or style. It is like watching wizardry. You know, with that minus the Harry Potter. You know, it is like wizardry when you watch people break down every tiny movements, because it is fast, isn't it? You know, sometimes when you see people do things, there's a lot that goes into the training other than swinging sticks and empty
Yeah,
hands, because you know you have to be very fit as well, because a lot of the, it takes up a lot of energy, especially with the sticks, and the drills as well, to get it right, all the movements and everything. But it's so worthwhile doing. I would recommend trying out, if out there, if you'd like to try out a new form of martial art, Philippine martial arts, even with the weapons or without. I would fully recommend trying it out there if you want to try a new form of martial arts, because it saved me, Grandmaster John. Martial arts, in the martial arts world, it's, what would you say, if you were to take that martial arts away, would that change a lot of things? Because it's made you. Would you agree that it makes you stronger? Even having that form of involvement with the Philippine martial arts itself.
I think to have martial arts is much better because it's uh, keep you aware of your discipline. It's
Oh
not
yeah, of
for
course.
2 years. Training is
Oh yeah.
just lifetime.
Oh yeah. No, of
So
course. Having that.
yeah, so that's yes, it's really good and nice if you involved in martial arts.
And just to wrap things up a little bit, because I know you're a very busy man. Who would you speak to right now, if you were to have dinner? You've got two people, in the past and even present. If you were to speak to anyone right now and to have dinner with them, who would you choose to sit down and have a chat about, you know, other than martial arts, or even martial arts itself? It doesn't matter either way. Which two people would you love to speak to right now?
So like I will choose still my mentor, the late Supreme Grandmaster community, uh, to sit down and talk to him. If not, I love to also to sit down with my uh, grandfather. He used to be a boxer as well.
Goodness, wow, that's a great experience to have. Being able to speak to them. And where would you have? What would you have? And would you have a Philippine dish? Would you have a foreign dish? What would you have there when you're speaking to them? Would you have adobo? What would you have? A hello with them, or You know, just for those people who don't know out there in the UK what a hello is, check it out on Google. It's freaking amazing, and obviously I don't have to to feel as if I have to experience it, because, you know, as a fellow Filipino, I was brought up with these lovely, nice dishes with hello and this adobo, because no doubt I probably would want to be cooking that later on, or in the next few days, cook that myself. My favorite is sisig,
Sisig.
adobo, any form of adobo, and a bit of hello, and not forgetting ubi. Have you
Okay.
tried? This is one thing I'd like to ask you actually. Have you tried? Because not many people have tried it that I know, because of what it is. But have you tried balut?
Yes, I'll have to eat balut. It's
oh, oh wow!
uh,
So, what is your favorite meal and your dessert, Grandmaster John?
with the dessert. I like sweets. I like halo halo. I like ice cream.
Oh, nice. Right,
So
folks, I've got some interesting news. I no doubt there'll probably be some more, because I've got so many other questions in the foreseeable future. Because obviously, I don't want this is going to be sort of too. I don't want to be sort of keeping Grandmaster John here is a very busy man. You know that he's probably got some students waiting for him at some point during today, and even even the practice as well. Because we're going to be doing after this, Grandmaster John. You're going to get out the screamer sticks, go out on the bag, and do some training after this.
after this, I have to do some writings. Finishing, trying to construct the basic parts of the double stick fighting.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I just love to be a fly in the wall, you know, just to witness you training and doing all the different things, you know, even sort of like helping your students, and even sort of all the writings and that. Do you, just before I forget, you know, have you built up quite a collection now, you know, documented all the different things that you've experienced in regards to adding to your experience of teachings of martial arts, the Philippine martial arts?
Sorry, I didn't get your question.
Documented, you know, have you documented quite a lot recently, you know, leading up to sort of presently, you know, up to now, you know, of all your experiences, from added on from um Supreme Grandmaster Kanate, you know, it, no doubt it probably big pile of documentation that you try to compress into a book, you know, one day, with your own experiences on top.
Yeah, that's also the next plan about my diary about experience with the late Supreme Grandmaster Kakoy Kanyete. And at the moment, I'm very busy of doing this curriculum for double stick way of fighting. I'm very busy doing that. To break it down is quite also difficult. To make it more easy uh, for teaching or for learning by other students, it must be detailed, and it must be, because double stick is a little bit complex. So trying to figure it out, how to make it more simple for them to learn.
That's really great, you know, to hear that, you know, you're working, you know, in the middle of working that at the moment, because, you know, there must be quite a lot of time and effort, you know, to put all of that in your own time and works, you know. And it'll be great to hear, you know, that in regards to progress of that being in the making, and even sort of the end result, you know, one day to be able to hear, you know, you've completed all of that, of what you needed to document, to put it into a complete book, or even some information for people to look at. Right, folks, everybody, I hope you've enjoyed tuning in. All those who haven't, you know, because no doubt those, sort of the timeline we've got, no doubt you probably will get a lot of responses after this, later on, because obviously of the timeline and the time difference, Grandmaster John, on the replay. So yeah, feel free to make some comments, anybody, and share and even like. And we are live on the Phil Carew Show 2.0 on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube on my channel, the Phil Carew Show. I will also be live on some other platforms in the foreseeable future. Some of these will be on Instagram at some point, and then also transferring from the information that I've got with all the other episodes since last year, will be transferring into Spotify, because I know a lot of the time you can't always see what people are talking about, but it'll be good to sort of even hear, along the way, because most of the time, if you're traveling, it'd be good to listen out to what other people's experiences are with my guests, as well as yourself, Grandmaster John Mack. Thank you very much, and don't forget to share, hit the subscribe button, on YouTube, share and comment on the Facebook, and also on LinkedIn. Thank you very much, Grandmaster John, and I look forward to hearing an update on your teachings and also your other experiences, and possibly even more potentially in the future in film, because you've already had a little bit more experience with that now, with the choreography, and even some books in the foreseeable future as well, which I've heard of. And like I said, thank you very much. It's been a real honour, and is a humbling sort of experience to be able to speak to you directly. I know it's second best thing, over the camera, but it'd be great to see you in person as well in the foreseeable future, Grandmaster John Mack.
Thank you very much, Phil, for having me here. It's an honor. And thank you for the viewers. And I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Poor guy, poor. Yeah, thank you very much. That's like the brotherhood, and also not just for those of the Philippine martial arts, those who are up and coming martial artists. Other fellow martial artists will understand what that is. That's a form of respect between Philippine martial artists. When you get to understand and even have a lesson in the Philippine martial arts world, you'll understand that as well. But usually we also have an eskrima stick or arnis stick beside, in our hands while we're doing that. It's like a form of salute, isn't it, Grandmaster John?
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, and I really appreciate this, and I look forward to seeing you in the foreseeable future.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Visit us here in Cebu if you have time.
Oh yeah, no problem, and no doubt I'll probably even visit the dogs next door behind you. Well, maybe I'll be able to have a direct insight for what they think as well when I meet them in the near future. All right, thank you very much, Grandmaster John, and I bid you farewell and have a great day.
Yes. Bye for now.
Take care for now, and thank you very much for tuning in the Phil Carew Show 2.0.